play. That's right, LG. I'm J-Rock Daddy. You got that right? Nobody's complaining. It's just funny when it pops up on the screen in a little bubble like in a comic book. Welcome in those of you listening on delay on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes and Stitcher Radio and SoundCloud and CarPlay and all the places that you guys enjoy the program. Thank you so much for being here with us each and every weekday at noon. Phone lines, I say it all the time. This is your show, baby. So use the phones. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. You are the voice and the soul of the Sports Fix, so do it. 216-539-7535. And if you can't get through, like several people did this morning, leave your leave your message right there on the hotline. We will play it live as you left it right here on the show. 216-539-7535. Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Guys, I just don't want to put you guys on hold. Just sit tight as I go to the break. I'll put you guys into the queue. I just didn't want to leave people waiting on hold for too long. I've got a couple of takes here that came in this morning. Just sit tight. I'm cracking them, guys. I'm cracking them. Anyways, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixCLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. As I said, a couple of you guys called in this morning. I guess I'm just going to move the conversation in the direction of the Browns. We'll hit the break. We'll hear a couple of takes and we'll come back with it. Listen, you guys probably, I know a lot of people, because I've already talked to a couple dozen of you here this morning as we're getting ready for the show, want to know where I'm coming from with the quarterback thing. Oh, well, is it time? Are you done with Brian Hoyer? Are you ready to move on with this yet? Yes and no to all of the above. I do have some thoughts on this. I mean, clearly, say what you want, and I am a Brian Hoyer supporter. You guys know I really, hey, I lost money this weekend in DraftKings.com. I told you guys I put my money where my mouth is with Brian Hoyer, and he didn't come through. The offense didn't come through. I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing. This is not the reason that the Browns lost yesterday. Is not because of Brian Hoyer. It's because the offense stunk, period, plain and simple. And as the quarterback, you are head in charge of that offense. And here's where I will agree with you on Brian Hoyer. Regardless of everything else, his confidence is absolutely gone. His confidence is what made him passable to get you where you needed to be. When you talked about his intangibles, that was the biggest one. The fact that he could bounce back from a mistake, get back in the huddle. The team still believed in him. Nobody can argue with that. Even if you don't like Brian Hoyer, the team still believed in him. I don't know if the team does or not. It would be, you guys are hell of a teammates if you guys do. And I'm not going to say that they don't. But I don't know if Brian Hoyer can still believe in himself. You can see it in his body language, in the way he's playing. He's playing scared. That was the biggest problem that I had with the way things went down last week, is like the kid wasn't already looking over his shoulder. Now he's just completely doing it, and you saw it. Especially the Taylor Gabriel overthrow, no doubt. That's a function of if you throw it short and you get picked off, there everybody goes. So you throw it long. The one to Gordon, now, I'm not talking about the one at the end of the game. I'm talking about the other overthrow. To me, Gordon could have caught that. Gordon could have at least made an effort on that. He slowed down instead of sped up through it. The one to Gabriel was 10 yards over his head. Now, that was just clearly overthrowing your receiver. And then, people can talk about Gordon because there's issues there. But, say this too. I'm being fair to everybody. There were plenty of plays that he did make a play and the ball wasn't caught. And that is what it is. That happens. But what I will give you, that with Brian Hoyer as the quarterback, the margin for error on this offense is so small that's the problem, is that, yes, he does have guys dropping passes, and yes, he's missing throws. Problem is that when you get one good play in a set of three, and I got problems with some of the play calling too, when you have that, and you get one shot, it doesn't matter. If Hoyer overthrows it, you miss that shot. If the ball's dropped, you miss that shot. Unfortunately, with no margin for error on this offense, that's it. That's all it takes. That's it. Just to gum the whole works up and end up with a bunch of 3-and-outs and end up ruining what was one of the best defensive performances for the Browns in quite some time, as we're going to talk about here in a minute. Browns defense played Browns defense for the first time in a long time. And Vashawn, I agree on you overall. They haven't dropped a lot of passes. They're one of the worst in the league in the last month at dropping passes. They're one of the best overall because they dropped so few earlier on in the season. They're one of the worst in the league in dropping passes in the last month. That is the reality, along with Brian Hoyer's accuracy, along with nobody getting the running game going, along with all of that. Brother, it is what it is. Here's the issue that should be scary to Browns fans is this conversation is still happening. This, what do the Browns do at quarterback is still happening with the first-round draft pick, with the franchise, with Johnny you-know-who on the sidelines. Look at the issues this weekend. Shows up late for the game. Now, I know somebody's going to tell me, well, that's what time he usually shows up. Well, they never report that any other week, so I don't care what anybody says. That clearly can't be the time that he usually shows up because it's never reported any other week. It was reported this week. Johnny showed up late. It was his birthday the day before. That'll be a story in the next 24 hours before this whole thing is said and done. You've got that issue. You've got all of these things that have led to him being Johnny Manziel still not being out there. He didn't get put out there at all in the second half of that game the other day. Did not see the field. Saw the field in Buffalo. There was more of a reason for him to see the field there late in the game there. Wasn't seen at all. This team is not, again, I say, you can say blind loyalty to Hoyer. I will tell you that there is no way that there are not reasons that people are not acknowledging why Johnny hasn't played. Plain and simple. And so for all of you that say, well, it ain't getting no better with Hoyer, I may be able to give you that. But do not use the term that it can't get worse because, brother, I think it can, and I think the Browns are afraid of just how much worse it can get. You're going to have to find out. I don't know for the life of me how the Browns don't make a quarterback switch this week. I really don't. I don't know how they don't, but I think I know how, and I think I can explain it in one sentence. They can stand in front of you and say, Brian Hoyer has won his last 2 games against the Cincinnati Bengals, including just a month ago in Cincinnati. Therefore, he's going to start this week. I got a feeling they don't make the change, but then every part inside of me says, how do you not? Not because of any desire for me to see Johnny, because I believe that the die is cast from what they have seen. I'm just saying, you can get better. He may get better. He may develop, but he's far from what people think he is. I think the Browns know that. They've stalled off showing the world that. Everybody will find that out, and then, yeah, Bruce, you may be right. The Browns will, instead of, we've got 2 quarterbacks, back to the old, perhaps we've got none. Let's pick up right there. We're going to talk about it. I posed the question to you. Who do you start this week? Forget who's your guy. I'm a Johnny guy. I think he's going to save the world. Brother, he's not coming in with a cape. Now, if you can't deal with that, I don't know what to tell you. But regardless, what do you think the Browns will do? And what would you do? I'm going to go to the phone lines here. I've got a couple of takes from this morning. I'm going to open them up as we get rolling. We're going to come back. We're going to talk not just about the quarterbacks. They might be dominating the conversation, but the Browns defense dominated the majority of that game. They made Andrew Luck look every bit as bad as Brian Hoyer in the Browns offense for much of yesterday's game. We're going to talk about all of that when we come back. Phones are open, 216-539-7535, 216-539-7535. Meanwhile, go into the hotline right now on our way out to break. Here's a couple of your takes, Cleveland. As we head to the break, we're coming back talking Browns and Colts and Hoyer and so much more when we come back here on The Fix.
Not going to hurt the team right now to try Johnny and see what he can do. That's my take. Bye.
Yeah, hi. This is Steven from Tennessee. As far as the quarterback situation goes, I believe that time for a change would be good. I think it is time for a change, and we do need a change because Hoyer hasn't been playing very well. But one thing I want to hit on is that, and this is something that a lot of people haven't really thought much about, is Shanahan's play calling. All right, we all know that Hoyer isn't really that good of a quarterback, to begin with, and he excels in the philosophy that we had: run first, set up play action. and we won games doing that. Well, when we're doing the same 2 runs, the toss sweep and the inside zone run, it's not hard to shut down our running game. And, not mixing up the running attack really hurts us, and that's how we have to throw the ball so much. And like I said, Hoyer's far from Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, or even let alone Aaron Rodgers. So, I think that's something that people need to think about. Thanks for hearing me out.
Thanks for the call, Steven, and you guys keep them coming in. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. When we come back, we're talking Browns and Colts and defense and so much more, and we want to hear from you. 216-539-7535. Do me a favor. Share the show during the break. Let's pump this audience up and then turn it up. Turn it down. For what? That's what I'm saying. Lil Jon in the background. We'll be right back talking Browns next on The Fix.
This is the Sports Fix.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Hey, call me Mr. Pig!
We'll call you whatever you like, as long as we can call you a fan of the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, you've heard me talking about it. Millionaires being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. I've been playing there too. It's now J-Rock's favorite one-week fantasy football site. What's one-week fantasy football? That means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Have a player who's hurt? That's no problem at all because you change everything week to week. Injuries don't derail your chance at victory. It's a new season every week. You're never stuck with the same players. You can pick your team in just minutes and be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000. Another turned $2 into $10,000. And a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day. $1 million just for playing fantasy football at DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play for free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker now at DraftKings.com.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
It's just an old ball, really. Nothing more. We grew with it and studied it. We owned it and shared it. We prayed they would hit it and miss it. We prayed they would catch it and drop it. We wanted it to bounce and fly, speed up and slow down. We prayed it would come to us, and we wanted to give it away. We have watched it weather storms and bask in the sun. And it's always right here in our hands. Cleveland Indians, established 1901.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.